Hi everyone, Michael from Pixeesoft. Welcome to our, what is it? Fifth? Yeah, that's right, fifth stand-up in this 7-day sprint. Now, some of you might be wondering, but there was a significant pause in between. And that's right, it was summer. You can say summer break. And some things came in between. So we had a little pause. Imagine it like your colleague just left for vacation and now came back. And now we will resume where we left off. And so if we're just meeting, as I said, my name is Michael, and this is our show, developer show, where we're describing our project as we go. And our project right now is migrating an existing application from bare metal to cloud. And yeah, we're sharing all of the experiences, all of the pitfalls, all of the lessons learned as well as we go. And so if you like what you're seeing and you want to be with us on this journey, consider subscribing. All right, so let's jump right into our Scrum board. We're using Trello, so let's see where we left off. So as you see, this is our board with the tasks that we already did, some that were in progress and some that should be still done in this sprint. Now, as this is the fifth sprint, that means, fifth stand-up, that means that we have sixth and seventh because we have a 7-day sprint. So what do we have here? We have identify public methods in Swift abstraction layer. So what is this? We have a component that persists user data in object storage. Now, this is not Swift as the programming language. This is the OpenStack object storage, which is called Swift. And so this was, in fact, fairly straightforward. We jumped into the code, we found the public methods, and so this one is done. Rewrite object storage client for GCS public methods. This one is done. Oh, create container, I didn't write them all out. Let's just say that this one is done and this one is done as well. Rewrite object storage client for GCS private methods. I didn't list them either, but this one is done in fact as well. We identified the ones that were problematic, we rewrote them, and they run locally. But there were some major obstacles along the way. Now, some of you may have noticed that the thumbnail for this video features VS Code. Now, why would I have VS Code as one of the parts, one of the key talking points? The thing is that we're using, for development purposes, we're using VS Code to write all of the Python code and all of the PHP code and all of the JavaScript. Pretty much everything except for mobile apps is written in VS Code. And we're using Anaconda for the environment for the Python. Now, I installed the SDK for Python for Google Cloud, and I had one tiny little problem, and that was that IntelliSense was not working, and it wouldn't work at all. Well, one thing worked. VS Code was not saying that the import is not available. So when I wrote the import, VS Code said, yep, this import is perfectly fine. However, when I started writing code, there was absolutely no autocomplete. I was just writing down object dot some method, and VS Code was just like saying, I don't know, if it's there, you tell me. And this was quite a major obstacle because I don't know which methods exist, and I don't even know how they behave. Even from like the name, if I somehow worked it out, I wouldn't know how they behave. What exceptions do they raise? And so it was really back and forth. All of these tabs that I have here, blobs, objects, I had to study pretty much everything that's in the documentation. Now, some of you who remember the good old days when there was only documentation, or those of you that prefer to write only in Vim with no autocompletion, good for you. Good for you, you rock. I don't. So for me, this was really an obstacle because I had to go through all of the documentation. I had to do a lot of guesswork. For example, with the hashes and e-tags, I was trying to make an MD5 hash comparison when I finally managed to upload an object, and then I wanted to check the MD5 that it's actually correct. And yeah, there was a problem that it was in a specific format. The e-tag was deprecated, so it doesn't work the way it worked before. And the MD5 simply, I didn't know the format. I saw that it's in base64 encoded, even this, it's written here. And I knew that somehow it's there, but I couldn't figure it out. Hopefully a good soul helped me out on the Slack channel. But again, this was an 1 hour of working time productively spent. And then not only that the documentation was also sparse, I also have to say that the examples for Python on GitHub are very simplistic, very, very simplistic. While I do understand that folks at Google don't have time for everything and that nothing can be perfect, I have to say with this specific product, the examples were sort of just to have something online. They're not that useful because there is no documentation. You see, there is nothing that would be describing, oh, this might fail because of this might fail because of that. And so you have to then jump into the SDK itself and guess what's going on in there. And that just ate a lot of time. I had to do it aside from the allocated time I had, even though I was in fact mainly focusing on another project. I did do some evening work trying to guess what's going on in here, what's happening. And in the end, I worked it out. It works locally. This was the last tiny little thing that I had to overcome, being, oh, yeah, the credentials, they have to be defined in the path. However, it's rewritten, it works locally, and now it's ready to be tried and tested. And so we have to take a look what we have here. Also, what I didn't mention, the VS Code problem, eventually I got it solved. I got it solved by replacing VS Code with PyCharm. Now, PyCharm wasn't the ultimate savior of everything because it also didn't have autocomplete at first, but you know, did you try to turn it off and on again? Did you try reinstalling Anaconda? I did. In VS Code, it never started working, but in PyCharm, suddenly it started giving me autocomplete. And eventually I could even command click and it would take me directly to the class. So that was an ultimate savior because it took me immediately to the implementation of the SDK, which then led me to rewriting it faster. Okay, so now back to our board. So it's rewritten. The only thing we need to do is we need to test it now, right? But in order to test it, we need the MongoDB service for it. So we're gonna put the MongoDB into in progress. And as you see here, there's test integration of GCS with eater and feeder, create containers for cron jobs, deploy cron jobs, create container for export server, and deploy export server. Now this one is actually needed because we need to find out if the storage works, but first we need the MongoDB service because that's where the indices for the objects are stored. So first we'll deploy the Mongo and then we'll deploy the newly rewritten component and see if it works. And these two, medium and medium, that's half a day and half a day. So that should amount for one working day. Let's see how it works. I am personally hopeful that MongoDB will not be a problem, but I might be wrong. We'll see. All right. As we always say, short, brief, and to the point. So I'm gonna end it right here. And thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions regarding anything that I was just talking about, feel free to comment below and I'll try to come back and answer those questions whenever I have time. When I'm not rewriting Swift code to Google Cloud Storage. Anyway, enough for the babbling. If you like this video, hit the like button, share it with your friends, subscribe, and yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you on our next stand-up.